My friends, welcome back to Mix Fix. This is number more than 1 and 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. It's a number of mix fixes we've done. Today we have the great pleasure of mixing a song by one of our pro members called, I kid you not, Hot Banana. I won't lie to you, it is possible. It's possible that I picked the song because of the title, or maybe because it's awesome, because I think it's awesome. So, the artist's name is Joshua, and he's going to join us later to see how his blood pressure is doing after I look into his music in front of everybody. It's a tough exercise for them. For me, it's fun. So, the song came in Ableton Live, and I opened it, and I took the liberty, this is it, and I took the liberty to insert mix-up on it so that we could compare the rough that he sent us with what's in the session. And so I was prepping a little bit, and it turns out that it's not quite the same. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first play you a few bars of the song so you know what we're going for. And then after that, we're going to have some fun. I mean, how awesome is this? This is awesome. The less awesome thing is that in the set, so if you know mix up, when I hit DAW, I'm listening to what's in the DAW, hence that's why we called it that. And then mix up, I listen to what's on mix up, which is Joshua's rough. And so I don't have the same vocals, and that's weird. And I looked everywhere in the session, so I couldn't find them. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, is it worth fighting? And then I went back to the folder, and this is what I found. Joshua sent us a multi-track, so we shall use the multi-track. So I'm going to switch DAWs, and I'm going to go to Pro Tools and do it in Pro Tools. But before I do that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to open his mix bus to see what vibe he wants for the texture of the mix bus, and it's all U80 stuff. So I own them. So I'm gonna save the preset just in case I want to get there. But basically, he's using a fairly fast attack, 41 ratio. That's bold in my book. A lot of make-up gain. Then he's using the shadow hills, a little bit of the optical. Also a 3-to-1, a little bit of gain, okay, cool, and then the precision limiter. So just in case I want to be super literal, I'm going to save the preset here and call it Banana SSL, and save the preset, Banana Shadow. I like that. That would be a good name for a band. We are the Banana Shadows. There you go, and then the limiter. Cool. other things that are important. By the way, this happens to me weekly, where I get the session. I always ask for the session and for the stems, the tracks, because sometimes the exports are not, 100%, and sometimes the session is not 100%, and sometimes both are not 100%, and we have to recreate something that matches the rough from pieces. And so I always take a quick look at what's going on, and I'm thinking that the tempo is going to be important. This is 175, so clearly it's double time. The click is double time. The other thing I'm hearing is that, by the way, in this session, everything's live. So this is Addictive Drums, and I'm lucky I have those plugins. We're not going to use this session today, but I could if the printed stuff had come with. So it's the drums are 3 instances of Addictive Drums, and then there's a bunch of bass stuff, as you'll see. And it's a swing track, not ching, getting, but it's a swing track. And that comes with its own set of parameters. And I can see from the title of the clip here that it says swing beat 32/16. So that probably is some sort of a preset swing template that he built the track off of. And I'm hearing a little bit of a time push-pull, which I think we can improve upon. That's my hunch. So I'm going to quick Ableton. I'm going to save it, just in case we have to come back to it. These are all my beautiful stems. I'm going to switch to Pro Tools. And as you can see, we have Zoom ready for Joshua to come and complain about what I've done to a song. There's a reference here. Let's look at that. Oh, I get a letter from Joshua. What does he say? Have written a guitar track. Yes. Recorded in my basement studio with a Moog grandmother. Guitars and outboard effects. I like the feel, but I can't get the mix right. I want more power and weight. Okay. The dynamics are all off. I think I know why. And then he sends me a reference that I cannot click on, otherwise YouTube is going to shut us down. So I won't click on it. I'm going to go wild and imagine that I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to create a new track called, I just love typing the title of this song, Hot Bananas, with 2 N's, please, thank you. And I'm going to own this by putting my name on it. Get a standard template. I am not going to use my, enormous template. I'm just going to do it super raw and super quick. I'm going to put it here so that you can see exactly what we do every day here at the Flux Studios. That is, okay, cool. Probably not going to need objects. This is not going to be an Atmos mix. Let's see. So I'm going to take everything. Is everybody same type? Let's do a type thing. Wave. Kind. I cannot take the MIDI file, otherwise it's gonna complain. Pro Tools is gonna complain. So I'm dropping all this in, and for everybody to hear it, I want to create a mix bus. There you go, aux input. And I'm going to send that mix bus out to a track. Then I'm going to call Hot Bananas, Fab Mix, boom. And voila, I'm going to make those two solo safe, and I should be able to play the song. Let's go in the middle of the song. We're good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the conductor, put the tempo at 175 because we know that from the Ableton session. And then, just for entertainment, I'm going to create a click track, which I'm going to move to the right of the session so it's not in the way. There you go. And everything's on the grid. I'm going to add my mix-up so that I can check out what's going on. And also, here, it's number 4. And also 80. And also upload it at the end. And then I'm going to instantiate decibel. And I'm going to shoot it to my little iPad over here. This is not my preset. Let's use this preset. There you go. Cool. Save. So this is our bass thing. And let's dig into it. The first thing I'm going to do is, although it's really well-intentioned, to put the name of the song on every stem. Now, when I look at my tracks, I see Hot Bananas. Everything in my control surface says Hot Banana, Hot Banana, Hot Banana. Every track is called Hot Banana because there's only so many characters. So if you're working in a collaborative environment, the first thing you should think of when you export your stems is make sure that they're readable. So I'm going to batch rename all this, and I'm going to find Hot Banana now. And there's also a space and a dash. And then I'm going to replace it with nothing. And now the title of my tracks is mostly way better, except for the ones he didn't find. So I'm going to do it again because on some of them there was no space. So there you go. Select everything again. This seems trivial and not very sexy, but it changes lives. It saves life, just like mix up. So put this here, do that. And now we have the actual names of the songs, and I have to do that for these guys too. So it's easier to see. And that one is located elsewhere because why not? Batch rename. There you go. Push. Boom. And then the Hot Bananas with the dash. Batch rename. Boom. Et voila. Now let's do some feng shui. Because it's easy to read the names and because it's kind of cool to have to put the name of the kind of tracks, drums, all the drums are hanging out together. So I'm going to take them all and move them up and make a drums group because, you know, might come in handy, and maybe do a little bit of like organization like this and listen to the drums. Cool. We have a bass drum, a snare drum. So far, I'm in familiar territory. Hi-hat, overheads, overhead parallel distortion. Bless you. Probably more interesting with the gain stage a little different in Ableton. A room. Drum room parallel distortion. That's cute. And snare parallel distortion. So it gives me a good idea of what Joshua wants, right? I know that he doesn't want the drums to be clean. Good to know. All right, so next, what do we got? We got a bass clean. Crazy vocals. That's a fair call. What a great idea for a song. Percussions of 909. So I'm moving stuff in, you know, in my usual way because I'm used to it. Makes logical sense to me. Synth main. Synth and synth main look very similar. The swells here on, so synth main, you know, says main. Bass clean, move it back here, make it red so it doesn't confuse me with the synth. I see a certain synergy between the synth and the bass. Let's hear the bass. It's got a little bit of My Sharona kind of vibe. this. I'm going to be able to do cool things. Main synth. Oh, pitch is flowing, that's cool. Synth. I see, they work together. They do work together. So let's make a group. Main synth. Synth bleep. Well named. Let's do this. Come with me. Here you go. Synth bye-bye. Awesome. So I have a habit of putting the synths in, or whatever, the tracks in the order of the appearance chronologically. That's awesome. Not always possible, but it's great, because if you have a big session and you don't exactly know where stuff is, if you're at the end of, say, the last chorus, you know that it's going to be towards the bottom of the synth if you're looking for a certain synth. Just a little trick. Sometimes not possible because stuff cuts in and out. Get it? Next. Cool. Oh, this is going to be fun. Cool. And then what's this? Okay, and so while I'm doing all this, I'm of course memorizing a little bit what's going on. I really dig that. Cool. I'm gonna give it a different color so I know where that. And then we have backing vocals 1, 2, and 3. You got it. So I'm gonna move those. Not that many tracks. Vocal 1, 2, 3. What do they do? Crazy vocal, vocal 1, 2, 3, vocals, vocal effects group, vocoder vocals. Okay, so I'm going to consider these all lead until further notice. Harmony vocal group. Put it here. Well, actually, like this. And then we have parallel distortion on the bass. That is super rad. And we have 3 little things left, which I imagine are going to be the guitars. Electric high, electric low, electric feedback. So high. So that's a stereo track, but there are 2 mono tracks, because you can hear the difference between left and right. You can even see it here. What's happening in the low ones? Cool. This is also 2 mono tracks, and then feedback. That's mono because it plays in the middle. Okay, cool. So we have everything. Isn't it pretty? So pretty. Let's see. So if I remember well, there was an SSL G-Bus compressor, or maybe it was the Legacy. Let's see what happens. No, that was it. There was a Shadow Hills. I am not super familiar with the Shadow Hills, so this is great. I'm going to be able to learn it. And I want to start with Joshua's preset. Banana Shadow, yeah, baby. And then for the limiter, we'll see when we get there. So the first thing I'm noticing is right off the bat, the gain starts pretty loud, as you can see. I'm at like 9 on the verse. And that's even with compressors in. Maybe it's because of the gain. Let's just get the gain down here. But if I do that, then it's going to change the way we're hitting the shadow hills, and then I'm going to lose Joshua's vision of how he wants his mix bus to go. It seems that the preset did not import right, so I'm going to move it. It should be in stereo, yeah. So clearly the stems were probably exported through this mix bus because the SSL is freaking out. So the first thing we're going to do is clip gain and give ourselves a headroom. Where did I stop? I stopped at -9, -12. Should be all right. Let's see. You know what? Here's what I propose we do. I propose we just consider that the colors are right, and that mostly I hear the SSL. I don't really hear what this guy does. So I'm going to bypass this guy. I'm going to architect this mix around the SSL, and then we'll go from there. And then if it's really important to Joshua, then we'll go and screw with it later. So I'm going to undo some of my padding. I'm going to probably stop around -6. 6 dBs of headroom should be enough for something like this. Maybe not. Let's go. Let's go. Sorry. There you go. Select all. That's right. You know, one of the things that's really weird is when you switch DAWs all the time. It's tough for your brain. It's tough for my brain. All right, this will work just fine. Cool. So where to start? Well, from Joshua's little notice, it seems that he was struggling with making it hard, and that is probably because of the drums. So let's do that. I'm going to loop this and start to get some inspiration. Distortion thing. It's cool. So let's take advantage of it. Let's get all the drums through a drum bus. And here's a little Pro Tools trick. This is, I mean, the DAW doesn't matter. It's got to work where you're happy. But Pro Tools has been around for a minute, and so they have some cool features like default output bus. And I'm going to make the default output bus my mix bus. So if I click OK, and I create a new bus, for example, like this, a stereo aux input, call it drum bus, it's going to go directly to my mix bus, so I don't have to do it myself. Amazing for lazy people. Another thing, actually, that I do these days is I make buses routing folders so that I don't have to deal with all the you know, let's call it legacy Pro Tools soloing issues. Okay. I think that it behooves us to try and balance that snare versus overheads versus distorted overheads. So I'm going to do that on my control surface. You can't see it very well, but you can hear it, and you can see it on the screen. So that's good enough for jazz, right? So I propose we give it a little bit of control, and we're going to use the fabulous Pulsar 1178, which, by the way, as a Puremix Pro member, you now have access to. How cool is that? So an 1178 was a stereo 1176, well, it still is. I have one in the rack in Dangerous, and it has all the same controls as an 1176, but it was designed to be stereo. This is pretty cool, and this plugin is actually the only 1178 plugins that I know of. And they added cool things like parallel processing right here, and the ability to sidechain, to EQ the sidechain, so you can, high pass the sidechain and not kill your at the bottom of your track. And then they also have a very good sounding, very interesting saturation section here. I really dig it. Check it out. So to give more density to everything, we overcompress a little. And then back it up. So I'm filling in the blanks, right? I'm creating more connection between the direct sound, which I'm actually going to take down a little bit, and the rooms, and making it more damp. That's without. And with. I'm going to mute the bass drum so it's not so distracting. Without. With. I sped up the attack a little bit. I sped up the release a little bit so that it doesn't pump, or there was a little bit of garbage in it. So I dig this. Let's see where else we can go after that. So I would say that one of the main problems of the track is the bass drum, because the bass drum doesn't have any. And so let's try if we can do something with the pulsar. So let's high pass the sidechain a little bit. That's pretty cool, but I think we're going to need a little more than that. So I'm going to duplicate the track and add a sample. I don't know if I need the pulsar on the sample, so I'm going to bypass it and use our trusty app trigger. Let's see. It works better when you copy the track into the trigger, which is one of those classic things where the stuff works better on. Wrong sound. That could be cool, a little kick. Not gonna work. Not a bass drum. So clearly my trigger is not set right. Swings a pain. So I got to catch that little second one there. So the window's got to be shorter. Clearly, I'm going to need some dynamics, which we'll do on the plugin, on the actual sample itself. Okay, it's coming. Better? Mm-hmm. Why not? I'm going to get rid of that little click at the end of the sample. I don't know what that's in my library like that, but it is. I like that it's really dirty and that is still has punch. I'm going to sugar it. It's a verb now. And here we go. I'm not going to update now, but thank you. He is dirty. Let's see what we can do for this snare au naturel. So it's going to be really tough to have a proper sample on this snare because of all the ghost notes. But I think what we could do is we could actually ignore that and just have just the backbeat be happy, and then keep the snare, the ghost notes, you know, where they are. Tasteful? No? Okay. I think this should work. So we're going to duplicate the track with the playlist this time. And I'm going to remove app trigger from the first one and just listen to the second one. I think this is going to be okay. Let me transpose it. And make it shorter. Cool. So let's call things better. Let's call this sample so I see it. And let's call this sample. Also, well, how about kick sample? And here you go. So we have a pretty good start. Those hats are neither here nor there. So I'm thinking a little bit of third courtesy of this guy would be great. Don't forget to turn the noise off. Put the crunch up, yo. So it creates this weird kind of like noise at the bottom, which we don't need. So let's get rid of it. But it's cool if we bypass the plugins. Clearly, I'm going to have to do something about the trigger on the snare, on the kick, I mean. But right now, I'm more interested in having fun. So let's do a little bit of parallel. I think we need all four to go into a drum parallel. and we're gonna make that mono. And it's gonna, because I didn't specify, it didn't go to the mix bus, I have to do it by hand. You have to specify both mono and stereo. Fair. The traditional way of doing this is a 160, my traditional way. With I may have gone a little heavy on the dynamics on the bass drum sample. Cool. So let's call this lovely until further notice. Let's look at what the bus compressor is doing. What I just did is wide open the attack so that we get the punch. I remember that Joshua wanted punch, lower the ratio to 2:1, and then speed up the release until further notice. It's pretty good. Let's keep going. I really like the distorted one. It's really gnarly. So as you are probably noticing, and this is not uncommon, especially on a track with this much swing, it's really hard to play swing like that. So it doesn't really have, the pocket is not 100% in. And I feel that we could improve on that. So the first thing I'd like to do is, with Joshua's permission, hopefully, because it's really hard to come back from here, is move everything back a little so it grooves better. Feels better, right? So let's keep that like this until somebody screams at me. There's still some fuzzy stuff, and in a real life situation, I would probably agonize over every beat, but not today. So I feel the same about the pocket here a little bit. Have to go look into that. For some reason, I feel like this is late. when something is so swingy, sometimes it's hard to tell. So a cool trick is you can enable tap to transit, and then you can see, you position yourself in the track wherever you like, and then you go to the next transient that's supposed to be on a beat. And as you can see, yeah, it's dragging. That's supposed to be the ender. So let's look at downbeat so you can really see it. Downbeat or a backbeat. The downbeats are low, so we're going to look for a backbeat. Let's see. See if I can find a transient for that. It doesn't see it. So in those cases, I do it by ear, which is 98% of the time I do it by ear. So we enable the group because they clearly work together. And then they're right on time at the beginning, but because it's solo at the beginning, it's okay. As you can see, the distortion is still rushing a little bit, but I think that's part of the joy. But this thing, I think it's late. So let's give it a couple hundred samples, see if it feels better. Actually, as you can see here, feels better. So great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open everything and then I'll do more tones. Right now, I love the choice of sounds for everything. Maybe the low bass is could use a little bit of joy. So let's give some joy. In the shape of not as much mud. And then let's be wholly uncivilized. By the way, I have a total habit of using the UAD because they sound bananas. And recently, how about we do this? Is it installed on this machine? Absolutely installed on this machine. It's checking with iLok that it's happy with me. There you go. So I am currently using a UAD plugin without using the DSP. Fierce. So now we can travel with our laptops and not bring our Apollo, which I wouldn't because that's my interface. But for those of you who don't have an Apollo, this is pretty nice. Let's see. I think I'm going to sugar this too. So obviously, I can't bring it too close to the already distorted one, this one. But I could bridge the gap. Let's do a quick jump by decibel. Quick jump by mix-up to verify we're not, in the wrong stratosphere. We're still in the same galaxy. I darkened the sample for the snare so that it doesn't take so much room. And I have a feeling we're going to change it or do something, but it's starting to come together. Let's do this a little more. Drum push. This is ripped from Vance. Vance did this, and I loved it. I've been doing it since. So here it comes. I don't do it as fiercely as he does because it's his exact stuff is too much for me, but I love the principle of it. Let me actually show you what it does. I want to put everything pre so you can hear just the compressor. And then you tuck that in, and it's really nice. I'm going to change the color so you can see what it is. There you go. And it's right here for me. And maybe we don't put the sample in it. Or maybe we don't put a direct in it, and then life is good again. Love it. That sounds great. Little fat. So this needs more gain. Oh, that's not only in the intro. Okay. I mean, come on. That is just awesome. So intro, bye-bye. And this definitely needs something fun. Don't know what. The urge to put Echo Boy on this is almost irrepressible, so let's just do it. Let's check on what the original intention was, because which tells you that they're not supposed to be there. Why is that? Well, those little thingies here they're all by their lonesome. Okay, well, I'm going to mute it for now so we don't get used to it. And then when Josh comes on, I'll ask him if he wants them there or not next. That's what we call the power of the rough. This is why Jesus invented rough mixes. I love it. I'm going to give it a tail. I don't know how to spell Valhalla anymore. There's too many A's. Like in banana. Vintage verb. Actually, you know what? I think this would be great with a Cooper time creep. There's that preset I like. Yeah. Cool. Yo.
Josh said that the bye-bye track is only supposed to be at the end.
The bye-bye track is supposed to only be at the end, but the stems are not saying that. Who's right? The author or Pro Tools? How's Joshua doing? Is he surviving this experience? Okay, great. All the synth sound are awesome. And I'm ruining the gain stage, so. Woof, baby. Something else fuzzy is happening here, and then it's all vocals. Let's look at those guitars. Rad. So if you remember, I moved the bass a little, about this much. It's probably a good idea to move the guitars. Let's call this thing this much. And let's go down to that guitar. Where are you? I moved it up because it was the fiercest one. Let me see. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Here. The reason why I can't find them is because I did not color correct those things to be the right color, so I can't find them. The right color being, of course, no matter what Andrew Shep says, guitars are brown. It's an obvious fact of life. Let's see. I'm in grid mode. That's not going to work. Not that much. This much. Ish. Let's see if this makes it feel better. So these are a little rushy. So if I compromise and move them back, what happens? It's still rushing. Grove. I love it. So let's, since they're hanging with the bass, I don't need them to be so fat. Let's see with the bass. Tum, 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 tum. I think a little bit of saturation would be really, really cool. A quick look at our mix bus. So on that madness, there's this guy too. I'm going to put a little bit of the eighth note delay, high pass the return. Without. It's a little more poetic with. There's another one. There's another one. What is it doing? Ah, yeah. I remember now. That feels a little muddy to me. So. I think this one wants to be. It clearly goes with the vocal. Let's check out what the vocal does. Awesome. So clearly I'm not paying attention to anything, I'm having too much fun and I'm blowing up the mix bus. And so be it. Wait, there's another bass drum? Ah, no, it's just a little thingy here. That's cool. Let's try this. U80X, baby. Let's see what happens with that. That's nice grime. So there, the snare is too soft to trigger the sample. So we're gonna. I just love the choice of sounds. That hi-hat is not necessarily my favorite. I'm gonna do something that I see. I'm going to try something that I see Stereos do a lot. My friend Stereos. You know, this could be cool on an aux. So let's just make a new track, raw, and send that to the drum bus and put that on. So I really like my little effect for that other section of this track, but not for this one. So I'm going to duplicate the playlist because I'm too lazy to automate. And also, we're doing this at the speed of light. I'm going to remove on this copied track, I'm going to copy the part I want to be dry and remove the echo. It sounds like see what the intention in here from the rough mix. Let's put a little limiter here. Let's try elevate. I think this is going to work awesome through a little bit of space. Like 40 would be cool. Let's see. Just for entertainment. Yeah. Cool. Move the 480 to the right so I know where to find it in case I want to put something else in it. You never know. Cool. And then we have 3 more synths and we are going to move on to vocals. Let's see. And then this. So there's a lot of different versions of that swing, and it's making a mess now that it's in your face. Let's see what we can do. Yay. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. All right, cool. This is all going along swimmingly. Let's see what we could do here. I just love this lyric. Let's see, to you. Let's learn this.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
Cool. And then we have a special effect. Let's see what the intended balance is. So the crazy vocals are the intended lead, and the others are support.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
Oh, there's more. Wait, there's more. There's the backgrounds.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
Interestingly, those are the clean ones.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
There's another one at the very end.
Bananas, hot 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 bananas.
So the reverb is built in, but
Bananas, hot 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 bananas.
cool. Let's put these in the lead folder. Let's make a lead folder. How's everybody doing so far? Questions? No questions. I'm slowly going to hate that snare sample. So to be clear, the snare sample I put in. Just want to see what the vibe's supposed to be. Let's go ahead for something else. The original one feels kind of a little bit not bananas. There you go. Let's see. So I didn't find anything in my trust. Well, I didn't go that far. Let's try something else. There's nothing more annoying to see somebody try every sample in the planet. A little fade at the beginning I don't like. I have a question.
Well, you have a few actually.
We have a few questions.
So you have actually two from Karen. She asked, "How do you use folders? They're new to me. I know you made a folder before."
Yeah.
Want to do a quick overview of that?
Yeah, I can do that. Hold on one
And
second.
there's one that has to do with the samples as well. She says, "What's your process when you add samples like a kick or a snare?"
I'm in the middle of it. I think people call that process suffering. So folders. Basically, X hundred months ago, Avid updated Pro Tools to have folders. And one of the great things about their implementation of folders is that if you solo a folder, a track inside the folder, you hear only that track. In the past, you had to do all sorts of solo save crap to be able to get to that functionality. Now it's built in, and that's it saves a lot of time. So that is why I use folders. And I am so in the habit, and especially when I go at this speed, I'm so in the habit of the time I spent on this platform, plus since I spend so much time on Luna these days, that sometimes I forget to make a folder, and I just leave it as an aux. But whenever an aux is a bunch of tracks as opposed to just a return or a parallel return, like for example for the drum push, I'll use an aux. But if I'm going to have a bunch of tracks that are summing down to an aux, as opposed to sands going to an aux, then I will put them in a folder. And that allows me to have very neat session organization, like for example, hide them and be able to do the solo tracks, which is awesome. So for example, if I were really, how would I say, consistent, I would take these two bass drum track and move them to a new folder called, and usually I option F and I put a little F clef there, option F, and I call it kick. That way I don't have to write folder. We know it's a folder because it says on it. And I made the wrong kind of folder because I'm a fool. Let me, you have two kinds of folders. You have a routing folder and you have a basic folder. Basic folder is a folder, kind of the same kind that you keep your birth certificate in, folder. And then a routing folder is a folder that holds the tracks, but also you route to. That's the hybrid between the folder and the aux I was just mentioning. And I just made a mistake and I made my, the kick because I was speaking at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish that like this, move to new folder, and you have to click routing folder and you route the tracks to the new folder. And I call it kick with spell it different so that Pro Tools doesn't complain. And there you go. And then of course now I have to move this folder to the top level, which you can do here. And then erase all traces of my gruesome mistake. There you go. This is better, but it's kind of, So Sugar doesn't work, but Raw may have some vibe. This is an interesting vibe. And then we're going to have to create some space. So I'm thinking that this would be cool with, check this out. Starting no later than very recently, you all got access to the new Eventide SP 2016. So last month you got access to the 1178 from Pulsar, and then this month is the Eventide 2016, which I'm going to show you now. So this is a reenactment of a very classic box that changed a lot of things. It was a digital reverb, and it had several programs that you can hear on a lot of records. And what I love about this reverb is how discrete it is. Check it out. So this is my sample raw. And mute the bass drum. So by the way, this is so easy to use. It's awesome. Check it out. You have 6 programs, vintage and modern. They have separate 2 sets, a stereo room, a room and plate, stereo room, room and plate, vintage and modern. And they have a slightly different tone. And then input output. This is your mix. Pre-delay, decay. Position is cool. It's whether the reverb simulates you being in the front of the room or in the back of the room. And then diffusion is that usual refill, that recirculate that reverbs do to give that thing. And then you have a very simple little EQ here. This is a clone of the original, and so they're very accurate and very exact. And check this out. So I'm going to go and change the mix. And I'm also going to remove the bypass. So obviously that's gorgeous. I'll play you actually a few. Then if I go to the stereo modern, a lot richer. Then you have the room. Room modern. A little brighter, but more density. Play. You know that sound, right? From all those records. And then the modern one. I love to use the vintage stereo room on single drums. Check it out. And then shorten the hell out of it. Without. With. It's so cool. Let me show you the position. It's pretty cool. What with a longer reverb. Thank you very much. I like to use the position about here. It is so easy to get exactly the tail you need on drums. So let's mute everything else and create a space for the drums. Here. Check it out. Mute it. See how discreet it is? And that really is, for me, in my opinion, you would have to ask Mick Guzalski for a more extensive thing, but because I never had the original. I only have the plugin, but I loved it so much that we asked for Eventide to include it in the Puremix subscription. And I also love it on bass drum. What I was saying before I rudely interrupted myself is that Mick Guzalski, fellow Puremix mentor, is like the whiz at using this box to make it do whatever he wants. Let's listen to just the bass drum. As a reminder, we started, this is without it. With. Love it. Actually, in this one, maybe the modern one would be cool. Add a little bit of pre-delay. Without. With. Everything sounds more real, which is great. So the drum and the bass drum, and I'm probably going to need it on the real snare. Actually, maybe this is the solution. Without. A little bit less. So as you saw, I took the gain from the high frequency EQ, which is at 4K, and I just went down. So I didn't hear the shine, but I heard the space. Curious to know what the modern one would sound like. That's a little too nice for this purpose. And what if I just went crazy on the low? In the sauce. Make the sample less stereo. Check out what happens to the whole drum set if I mute those 3 reverbs, right? So I'm going to start with. pretty awesome. So that's the SP 2016, which you now have access to, Fairlow, and dearly esteemed Puremix members. You know what? I want to put one on here too. This feels really raw. And what if we just went... Since it's a, you know, late 80s vibe on the part, let's make a late 80s vibe on the reverb. All right, let's go back to the rest of the track. More questions? I don't use the reverb on an aux send, and well, I did when I used the 480, right? Because I knew that I wanted to change that. I wanted to use that 480 on several things. But here, I knew I wanted to use the 2016 for what I love it the most, is to give a space around an instrument that's too dry. And I wanted to give it its own space. And I want to be able to change the decay and the mix and the EQ, listening to the instrument by itself. I'm not trying to create a space around different instruments. I'm trying to make that instrument feel less electronic and less dry, and more like dreamy. So if I had put one of the 2016s on an aux, then both snare drums would have had to have the same settings. And in this case, they're not. I'm using, on the sample, I'm using the stereo room. On the original snare, which is also a sample, I'm using a regular room. And then I'm using the modern stereo room on the bass drum. And the combo of those three gives something that's fairly natural, and allows me to do this part. You know, when everything feels like this, but I get this out of it. Now, I could put the 2016, like for example, let's try this. Let's make an aux that we're going to feed from both the leads and the backgrounds, and call it Vox 2016s, not the year. And there you go. And let's find something that's cool for that. I'm gonna, there you go, so saved, all good. Let's listen. So by the way, in my original theory, all these tracks should be into a, I'm gonna convert this aux to a routing folder. And put everybody in. So cool.
I'm going to the doctor because I'm barely breathing.
There's built-in reverb, but check it out. I'm gonna make it very, very obvious.
I'm going to the doctor because I'm barely breathing. I heard it on the radio. It's a bad pollen season.
I like that. Let's see the modern one on this.
I'm going to the doctor because I'm barely
This one better.
I'm going to the doctor because I'm barely breathing.
Pretty good.
Because I'm barely breathing. I heard it on the radio.
And let's do the same thing for the backgrounds. Hey. Yes. Routing folder. Thank you. This here. And let's do it.
I'm going to the doctor.
Let's go with this background vocals.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
See how it does this? It's really cool. I'm going to lower the low end factor. It felt a little muddy.
Hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas.
I think it's the background vocals that feel a little muddy. Let's just do a tilt.
Hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas.
that hot compared to the ref, and that's an interesting conundrum. So, what are we doing here? Are we being purists? Are we trying to make the track sound as good as it does, or are we trying to make our client happy? I guarantee you 100% there is no question that if I send Joshua, if he weren't watching, if I sent him a mix that is like the best mix in the history of the mixing universe, but it was 2 dBs or 3 dBs softer than his mix in order for the transients to be able to survive, then I would get a call back from Joshua saying, thank you very much. I'm going to use my mix or hire somebody else to mix the record. Because unless the mix is truly egregious, the rough is truly egregious, which in this case it's not. He did a very good job. Unless there's like a real obvious something wrong, people have been listening to their mixes for a long time and they love them because they spend as much time as possible. Even if they say they don't, they love them. And then you send them a mix that's not as loud as theirs, and I guarantee you it will get turned down. And that is the tricky thing. So that's one of the great things about Mix Up. And part of the reasons why we designed Mix Up with Guillaume is, Guillaume being the other half of Puremix, is that you can actually lower the ref. So if I take the ref down 3 dBs here, I can listen to the DAW. And then I can listen to Mix Up. I did plus 3, which is even more interesting. Minus 3 is better. I mix. So now I really feel good about life because I'm louder than his mix. But the reality is, if you look at his mix and look at decibel, right here, without the correction, it's hovering at modern master level, maybe a little. That's like a, actually, believe it or not, it's a reasonable-ish master level. So it's at -8. So if we want to work, say, at Spotify level, then I will have to take it down about 6 dBs. So if I take it down 6 dBs, it sounds like this. Now I'm going to be loud as hell. What I can do here, because my gain stage is about right, let's see. So I have several options. One of the options is to pad the gain here. So let's see what happens if we lose 6 dBs on the input of the limiter. Little under, so let's do -5. Tiny bit less, 4.5. So there's still some limiting. 2 dBs, which is appropriate for this kind of music. Now, I don't have the guitars, so we got to go to a segment where there's no guitars. So I can't have those things on because I was told it's not supposed to be there. There you go. That's my mix, and that's the mix up. Playing at the same level without the limiter taking 4 or 5 dBs out of the whole track. And that is a conundrum ladies and gentlemen, what does one do? So what I can tell you is that most mixers who are working for a client that they don't know I will always try and offer the option of listening to the rough and the mix on mix up with the little padding so that I don't have to crush the mix as much as the demo. And a fairly impressive percentage of the time, people are like, wow, man, this is cool. And another percentage of the time, the feedback is, why is the mix not as loud as my -4 demo? And then you can decide to have the conversation about, well, -4 kind of like kills the joy in music, or you can decide to say, no problem. Just how crushed would you like it to be? And that depends on your philosophy, maybe your rent, how high your rent is, ethics, or also lost cause. There are some people who are not interested in discussion, and also style. There are some styles that have to be crushed, otherwise it sounds weird because everything in that style has been crushed. And so you're trying to make something it's like trying to make non-distorted heavy metal. Makes no sense. So in this particular case, I don't believe it needs to be crushed. I think it's nice to have a pillow, and I think we're well on our way. Check it out. That is a mix up. Plays the voices and everything, but I think we're actually, in what it's been an hour and change, are bringing the bottom back into the track, and really it's actually grooving better too. And we're having, I don't know, it feels creamier and more interesting to me. Let's listen to the guitars. So I'm going to mute the vocals for a second, so I can focus on the guitars. I think I'm going to, since we're here and we have permission, why don't we just go crazy? Let's use this awesome UA plugin called Raw. I use it on the hi-hat, I use it on the guitars. I think it was more intended for guitars, just saying. This is the main part, the other part is decoration. I think it would be interesting to use this for punch, meaning compress it quite a bit. And then kind of like dig in by bringing some direct signal back. Then using something I know better as the main bus compressor. So this is in bad taste now. Come on.
Hot bananas, hot bananas, hot, hot,
There's a little bit of a mask around 300. Let's get rid of it.
hot bananas. Hot bananas, hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
Maybe we can make them more apparent by making them brighter and quieter.
Hot bananas, hot bananas. Hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas. Hot bananas, hot bananas, hot bananas.
Maybe not as wide, they kind of attract attention to themselves.
Hot bananas, hot bananas. Hot bananas, 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 hot
I really dig the 2016, but I think it's too long.
hot bananas, hot bananas. Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas, hot bananas.
So let's look at the balance of this stuff. One great way to look at balance is by lowering your monitoring level, but you can't. So I'm going to do it for you. You're welcome. Check this stuff out. I mean, come on. We're going to make this loud as hell. Love it. I had this urge that I want to try raw on the sample. Pretty awesome, direct sound. It's got a Nine Inch Nails vibe to it. So let's see. Maybe we could do something cool here. What's the high one doing? Okay. So my feeling is that it would be kind of cool to duplicate some playlists, keep the sound the same, find where it changes, which is about here, take it down, and then narrow the bands like this. And then reopen the stereo here. See how that goes. Only Yui and my dog will notice that, but it's fun. I want to understand what's going on here. Let's see. Ah. Just the direct. It's on the direct. There's something fuzzy in the programming. Let's see with the snare. Hold on. Okay. There's not much I can do about that, except go back to the Ableton session, which we will not do today. But that's actually missing a fun way. So, I mean, yes, I like rhythm displacement a lot, but this may be a little too displaced. Let's try this. So the pickup on those guitars, wherever they are, this is awesome, but it's killing me. So I'm gonna lower it and let's see. I think this is absolutely brilliant, this part here. I think we should help with this guy. Echo Boy to the rescue. Yeah, baby. Okay, let's try this. All right, so let's go back to normal level. I'm going to listen on headphones. You can do whatever you want. Let's see. My trusty Meze Elite. Expensive, but also worth it. Headphones. I really dig it. I was, you're always eager to figure out what the bottom should be like. I think we can open the drums a little bit and keep going. Use my trusty. Tiny bit shorter. And a tiny bit less. So on headphones, it feels to me that this part
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
So these three make sense together.
Hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
A little less of the clean one. And then vocal 2.
Hot bananas, hot bananas,
Great.
hot bananas, hot bananas,
These feel very, very muddy. And so I want to do that. And then I want to put them on the sides. So I'm going to use the classic mod delay trick. I may have a preset for it. Yes, I do.
hot bananas, 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 hot bananas.
And this. And now it should be better. Other thing I hear. I think the steadier bottom is going to come from that. Thus, I'm going to pull take it. It's a verb. Yes, it's a verb. forget this is parallel now. Ease up in compression. Put it back on the mix bus. I tend to do that. Something collapses here and it's not the mix bus, so it's in the tracks and we got to alleviate it one way or another. Probably this guy. It's actually the bass drum sample. There you go. Here. True mayhem. I love it. So I'm underserving this track. It's a little too nice. Don't be nice. This is fun. I did not tend to the end. Let's look at it, listen to it. So we're back into that section. So when this one goes down, everybody's fighting for the real estate. All right. That is fun. I think I'm happy for this. I'm happy with this for a first pass. And I think it's time to bring Joshua on to see which color his skin is turned into. Beet red, purple, livid. And also we're going to ask him what do I need to do with this really awesome synth that really, I got to say, sounds great as an intro. Don't you think? It'd be better if they were not soloed. It's an interesting vibe for the silliness that's about to ensue. Let's see. So I'm going to start the call, and I want to join it. And I'm not Mark. I'm Mark in a different life when I grew up. And so, in theory, Joshua should call. Or is he already here? He's not here. It's just me. I'm talking to myself on Zoom. It's fun. Start the video, should we? For entertainment. There you go. That's still me, though. I want Joshua. Where's Joshua? I'm sure he's going to call in no later than very soon. In the meantime, Joshua has the link, right? Okay, cool. Do dee do 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 dee do. No. Yes. No. All right. So, couple things. In a real life situation, I would spend about 2 to 3 hours feng shuiing the time of some of the tracks. Already moving stuff around felt better to me. I feel like, for example, this guy, which we've moved, I think he has the same kind of swing as this guy. That creates a bit of a push-pull, so I'm sure some of it is intentional, but I think a little less of it would be cool. This just brought to my attention that I could actually probably help the universe if I took advantage of this group and made everything grouped, mutes, levels, all. What I did with the groups is that now whatever I do to one happens to the other. It's pretty cool. Without. It's like a Friday night commune on the Golden Gate Bridge, but with. More like the Ranzano Bridge. And then we're gonna show you that a little so I can bring it over without fighting. Sounds like this. I still have no request from.
Should be coming in any minute.
Ah, Josh. Josh is joining with computer audio. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
Where do you hail from?
I'm just north of Boston, Massachusetts.
North of Boston. Where? Lynn or Beverly or where?
No, further north. I'm in the woods.
In the woods. Awesome.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Good.
Apparently, you're a professional Zoomer because you have a headphone that has a microphone built in.
Yes.
That is fierce. When I grow up, I'll have one of those, maybe, if they let me. So, I imagine you've been listening.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? What's up?
I think it's great. Right away, I think he said something about how the drums, he thought the drums would make it sound a lot stronger. And I'm a guitar player, you know, the drums are MIDI drums. So
yep.
I'm always thinking about the guitar and then vocals. So it didn't really even occur to me, but then I think that just the kick and the snare, adding those samples. And
yeah. And this is the thing that's amazing about stuff like this is like the tone of one instrument is going to give you the context of the tone of the other instruments. No matter how focused you are on the other instruments, if the drums don't hit hard enough, then everything else is going to atrophy around it. And that's why in this day and age, with all the tools we have, there's no such thing as a demo. You got to push it as far as you can. So you had addictive drums, because we saw in the Ableton session. Those are cool. But in that situation, probably working on the kick and snare separately would have allowed you to get further, and also maybe trigger with non-addictive drum samples if you want to get the punch is the way to go. So yeah. I struggled to find a sample, struggled for a while to find a sample. And by the way, there's infinite possibilities here. You know, I picked this one. We also have a clock running. You know, it's like a 2-hour mix. And I'm speaking out loud the whole time. So it's not the best focus in the universe. But I feel we got to a spot. Does the snare sample work for you, or is it like irking you? How does it feel?
I actually liked your first one a little bit better. This one's a little too.
You're a thin snare kind of guy.
I don't know. This one sounds too like digital, like a digital clap kind of sound.
Are you trying to make those drums sound real?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy with the overall vibe of.
Okay.
Kind of mayhem, like you said.
It is mayhem. I love it. Well, I kept the original sample because I've done this before and I expect this. So I'm gonna, when we hang up, I will put it back on and make the decision.
Okay.
Where does that stuff go? The intro that's not an intro. Where does it go? Where do I put it?
So I think at some point I exported it just that one segment. That's why it got all messed up. So I had put it at the end. Like that's why it says bye 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 bye. I mean.
Okay, great.
Right.
So hold on. You're going to be off camera for a second.
Okay.
I still hear you. Hold on. So grid, bye, 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 bye. So it would be the very, very end, kind of like a tag thing, like here.
Right before the quiet synth at the very end. So I guess it
For
would,
the-
in like the loud chorus part is when.
In
Right.
Ooh, extra layers. Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. But it's only half of it, or is it the second half of the last?
Only the second half. Yeah.
Tricky. Okay, let's. um, so I'm in the right spot, but obviously on those headphones, you're gonna have a hard time telling which way is up.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I say that this part is slightly underutilized, but it's awesome.
I mean, hearing it at the beginning, which it never would have occurred to me, but I kind of liked it. It's just an added layer of
all right,
weirdness.
Let's do it. If I have permission from the writer, let's go. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And I'll leave it there for extra flavor at the end. But I feel this is so good. So let's feng shui this properly. Maybe not. That's a little overt. 2 more bars. Ugh. And then at the end, I mean, it looks like it was designed for it. Cycles of 8, but it does. All right, great. So here's what I'm going to do. Well, first, thank you very much for loaning us your track.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. I know it's tough. You know, it's like it's your naked baby in front of the entire universe. I think it's awesome. And of course, obviously, the subject matter is very dear to me. So I'm gonna just for checking, I'm gonna reopen the other sample on the snare, and then I'm gonna print this and put it on Mix-Up. And then you have my direct contact. You can, if you want me to change some things. Do you have Pro Tools?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
I only use Ableton.
some changes. Let me know, and I will make the changes for you.
Thank you very much. Do you? I have one quick question, if you've got the time.
Anything you want.
I'm always. I mean, I feel like there's a lot going on. I'm always struggling with how much. Like, if you're objectively listening to this mix, do you think there's too much stuff? Like, is it too messy? And would you cut parts out to try to clean it up?
One could argue that maybe some of those layers are not 100% necessary. However, what would happen is that the minute because it's built to work this way, if you remove one, then it's going to feel small, right? So to go through the process of deciding the purest possible, and purest not in a qualitative way, but in a quantitative way, the purest possible arrangement, it's better to do that earlier in the mix. And since I was able to fit everything without fighting, there's literally not a lot of processing on here. It's all very kind of like tilts. It's a bunch of tilts because everything was quite low, mid, heavy, which would mean that potentially in your room, what you hear is a little thin, and thus it makes you want to put more bottom and low mids in it. So besides that, everything fit together neatly. The bye-bye part, I don't know. But the reason why it's not speaking over the mayhem is because I created the mayhem without knowing that the bye-bye was going to be there. If I knew the bye-bye was going to be there, then the mayhem would have been built around the bye-bye, since that's the lift. I think that this is a reasonable amount of tracks, and it's like, I think the 909 percussion thing is extraneous, maybe, but it's cute too. So the one thing, just question, did you get that swing beat from a library?
I can't remember. I think I took the hi-hat pattern from Addictive Drums.
Yeah. So that has a certain amount of swing in it, but
Yeah.
not everything. Like if you quantize your synths, they're not quantized to the same swing, and
Right.
so some of that is fun because it's fuzzy, and some of that doesn't groove as much, which is why I started feng shuiing stuff left and
Yeah.
right. I would say to me, if you want to bring, it's not in this way that the track would be simplified. It's this way,
Right.
and with an afternoon or maybe a day of massaging the pockets of everything the same way I did it, but in a more laser way, this would feel great, and that includes vocals. Sometimes they're a little forward, sometimes they're a little back, and so. But there's also something buoyant about it. When something is forward, like the vocals, it makes things exciting, right? It brings a bit of a garage band, not the software, the style, quality to it, and which is, I think, is joy. Like there's a lot of joy in this, and it has to stay. It can't be like, it's not Steely Dan. You know what I mean? That would be lame. But for the groove, because the groove is so interesting in itself and also odd. I haven't heard a track with that kind of swing in a long time. Then I think it would deserve probably another 15, 20% of tightness. And that 20% takes a day.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's a struggle with the creator. As the creator of the music, it's always, you never want things to be too cleaned up, you know, but how do you judge whether it's loose enough? Like right when you started pointing it out, the timing, I heard it more. I'm like, oh, I guess, he's right. But you know, when you're in the middle of it, and
you don't, and that's the thing, and that's what defines your sound. And you can go if you listen to a Bob Dylan record, nobody's going to complain that nobody tuned it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you listen to the Sex Pistols records, nobody went and edited the drums, and that's fine. It's actually. That is the joy of the thing. So it's a question of, that's why maybe you want to work with a producer or somebody else who you can riff off and say, hey, how do you feel about that? And then that person is going to tell you something. And depending on your level of trust, what you have for breakfast that morning, and your person in a sanctum of where you want your music to be, you'll say, oh, sure, yeah, let's do that. You'll say, no, I like it messy. And then maybe that person will push back or maybe not. And then you create a relationship and they're creating a tone, which is why I always say that music should be a sport, contact sport, and a team sport second, meaning that it has to be real time and you have to be in the same room and you have to be able to like vibe, and then it creates a different kind of music. And but I thought you did great. And did you have MIDI on those synths or did you just play them?
Synths are just played. That original thing is a Moog. Is my grandmother. That's just an arpeggiation that's with some weird attack and release settings.
See, that's the thing. So it's loose, right?
Yeah.
So you have to decide how loose it is. Me, when I pushed it in the right spot, felt fine, felt loose, but it no longer was in the way of the track moving forward.
Right. Yeah.
But say, for example, if you told me, okay, Republic Records is signing me, they want to hear one more track. This is the track. What is your inner opinion as to how can we make this better? I'd say, let's hire a real drummer, and let's focus on that. Let's hire a real drummer to layer, not necessarily to replace, but to see where we could go. That would be my first thing. And then let's work on that pocket, especially the upbeats of the guitar, so it has that fierce, late '90s kind of like thing, and that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But for this exercise, I think this is brilliant. I loved it, and we get a lot of tracks, and this track made the short list of, like, we have a 10 short list, and you're number 4, so there's another 6 to go. But yeah, I thought because it's tongue in cheek and it's got really great sense of humor and it hits hard and it's chaotic and it's beautiful. I really dig it.
Well, thanks very much for listening and doing all this. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun too. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks,
so I will check that snare drum. Wow, we've been on for too long. We've been on for too long. I will check that snare drum quickly on camera, and then I will. How about I print both for you, and I'll bring.
That'd be great.
I will call V Fab and V Josh. How's that? And then I'll put them both up on Mix Up, like within minutes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man.
Bye.
Ciao. All right, let's just do what I said. I just love it. So just make sure that this is good enough, this part. Nice. So I will do this, and I will bounce this. Let's call it VFab. Wave, bounce, 32-beat float, offline. Thinking about it. All right, so my friends, thanks so much for watching. Are there any questions I can answer during the offline bounce that's actually slower than real time? Or comments or anything? No? Okay, let's all look at the progress bar together. If you think this is bad, you should try and bounce an Atmos mix that has 50 tracks on it and is 11 minutes long, like I did this morning before this. Sure you don't have any questions? All right. Maybe I'll do the other snare off camera because I think you guys have spent enough time looking at this. Thank you so much for watching and for staying with us. Very soon. Bye-bye.